Hey guys, tonight we are going to gently close the door on our modern anxieties and slip back in time to a place where the biggest worry was probably a scorpion in your sandal or running out of good papyrus. It's a world both incredibly distant and surprisingly familiar, filled with quiet routines, strange beliefs, and the simple, universal desire for a good night's sleep. And let's be honest, you probably wouldn't survive this. No Wi-Fi, no air conditioning, and the bread had so much sand in it, it was basically a dental plan in reverse. But for tonight, we're just borrowing the scenery, focusing on the calm and the curious dot. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Your support makes these journeys possible, and if you feel like it, leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from and what time it is. It's always a quiet thrill to see how this little community spans the globe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The sun is a weary, molten copper coin, sliding down behind the sharp, rust-colored peaks of the Theban hills. Its light, once a fierce white hammer, has softened into a syrupy gold, stretching the shadows of the limestone cliffs into long, dark fingers that reach across the desert floor. You don't need to look at the sun to know the day is ending. You can feel it in the shifting air, a subtle release of the day's oppressive heat, a first tentative whisper of the cool night to come. The path beneath your leather sandals is fine and warm, a powder of ancient rock and time. It's a path you know better than your own reflection, worn into the earth by your feet and the feet of hundreds of others who share your singular purpose. Every morning you walk away from the living, and every evening you walk back. Today was the 8th day of the work week 8. Long days of meticulous brushstrokes in the echoing quiet of a pharaoh's future home. Just 2 more days of work until your 2 days of rest. The silence of the great tombs, a heavy, sacred stillness, still hums in your bones. Your back carries a familiar ache from crouching on a reed mat, your fingers a faint cramp from gripping a fine horsehair brush. Under your fingernails, you can still see the stubborn black and red lines of ink. You are a sesh, a scribe, and your hands are your life as you round the final bend. The village comes into view, nestled in a small, protected valley. Deir, el-Medina. To an outsider, it might look like a random collection of sand-colored boxes, a child's forgotten toys left in the dirt, but to you, it's the entire world. It's a purpose-built bubble of life, a community of the finest artisans in all of Egypt, commissioned by Pharaoh himself to create the hidden wonders of the Valley of the Kings. You and your neighbors are the keepers of secrets, the builders of eternity. It sounds very grand, but mostly it means you get slightly better rations and complain about the same foreman everyone else does. A high mud brick wall encloses the village, a simple but effective line drawn between your orderly home and the vast, chaotic desert. There is only one main gate, and the guards, 2 sleepy Magi men, leaning on their spears, nod as you pass. They know your face. They know everyone's face. Inside, the atmosphere instantly changes. The immense open silence of the desert is replaced by the soft, overlapping sounds of life. You hear the gentle braying of a donkey, convincing itself it has had enough for one day. The murmur of a conversation from an open doorway, the rhythmic thump-thump of someone grinding grain, the laughter of children chasing a hoop down the narrow main street. The air, which moments ago smelled only of hot stone and dust, now carries the scent of baking bread, roasting onions, and the sweet, heavy perfume of jasmine from a neighbor's small, potted bush. You walk past the home of a stonemason, his muscular arms covered in a fine white dust that never quite washes away. He's sitting on his stoop, sharing a piece of flatbread with his son. The boy is scratching a figure, a lopsided drawing of the god Anubisantu, a broken piece of pottery, and you nod, and the stonemason nods back. It makes you wonder. You can read, of course. You can write the sacred hieroglyphs that guide souls to the afterlife, and the swift, practical hieratic script for laundry lists and official complaints. It is your entire identity. But how many others here can? Can the stonemason's wife read the shopping list he scrawls? Historians still wonder just how deep the gift of Thoth, the god of writing, really ran in a village like this, a place more literate than most, but still a world away from universal knowledge. Finally, you arrive. Your home. It is number 64. Not that there are numbers, but you know its place in the row of identical houses. It's a simple, narrow structure of whitewashed mud brick, humble but sturdy. The wooden door, painted a faded blue to ward off troublesome spirits, is cool to the touch. You lift the simple wooden latch, and the door swings inward with a familiar, soft groan as you step across the threshold, from the fading light of the world into the waiting cool of your own small space. The weight of the day, the dust, the work, the walk begins to dissolve. Home. The first breath you take inside is different. It smells of cool clay, dried herbs, and the faint, comforting presence of another soul who is, you are sure, waiting just inside. The door swings shut behind you, and the sounds of the village are instantly muted, replaced by a dense and welcoming quiet. A soft, rustling sound comes from a woven reed mat in the corner, and a sleek sand-colored cat uncurls herself with a theatrical yawn. This is Miu. Her name simply means cat, which you've always found to be a marvel of efficiency. She stretches one leg, then the other, her back arching into a perfect curve. Then she pads over to you, her tail a question mark in the air, and begins a low rumbling purr as she weaves between your ankles. She is the true master of this house. You just pay the grain tax. Asterisk, you stoop to give her a slow scratch behind the ears. Her fur, warm and smelling faintly of dust and sun. Your first room, the main entrance hall, is simple by design. Minimalist chic, thousands of years before it became a trend. The walls are a thick layer of mud plaster over the brick, whitewashed to catch and amplify the fading light that filters through a single, high, grilled window near the ceiling. A low brick bench, plastered and smoothed, runs along one wall, currently occupied by a small, forgotten water skin. In a recessed niche in the wall, a small, rather cartoonish limestone figure of the god Base stands guard. His tongue is stuck out, his posture comically ferocious, a divine bouncer meant to scare away snakes, scorpions, and bad vibes. You give his little head a grateful pat. Asterisk, you unshoulder the leather satchel containing your scribe's palette, brushes, and a spare roll of papyrus, placing it carefully in a painted wooden box that serves as both storage and a small table. The air inside is still and cool, a welcome relief from the desert. You can smell the earth from which the house is made, a clean, dry scent like clay after a rare rain. You move deeper, pushing aside a heavy linen curtain that separates the public-facing front room from the more private main hall. This second room is the heart of your home. It's slightly larger and darker, the true living space. A raised section of the floor, a dais, dominates the far end of the room. This is your all-in-one seating area, dining space, and, eventually, your bed. A few woven wool cushions, faded but comfortable, are tossed against the wall. Asterisk, your eyes drift to a painting on the main wall. It's a simple but elegant depiction of a blue lotus flower, its petals open to the sky. You painted it yourself during a quiet holiday, a small act of beauty in a world of practicalities. Was this common? Historians debate whether these simple decorations were just for show, a way to prove one's status and skill, or if every painted eye of Horus or delicate gazelle was a genuinely felt prayer, a piece of protective magic woven into the very fabric of the home. You don't have an answer. You just know that looking at it calms you. On the floor beside the dais rests a large flat-topped chest made of sycamore wood, holding your few changes of linen kilts and your one good cloak for the cooler winter nights. Its lock is a simple wooden bolt, a state-of-the-art security system that would probably fool a very confused goose, but not much else. Asterisk from your satchel. You take out a small pouch of dates you received as a bonus for finishing a section of tomb text ahead of schedule. They need to be stored somewhere cooler. To the side of the main hall, a set of steep, narrow steps leads down into darkness. You lift a small, saucer-like lamp, its wick sputtering in a pool of castor oil, and descend into your cellar. The air changes immediately, becoming 10 degrees cooler and heavier with the scent of damp earth and stored things. This underground room, dug directly into the bedrock, is one of the home's most brilliant features. It's a natural refrigerator. Here, you keep your large pottery jars filled with water, beer, and precious grain, their surfaces cool and beaded with condensation. You place the dates in a small covered bowl on a shelf. This cellar is a place of many secrets. Some of your neighbors have elaborate shrines down here, while others, during the punishing heat of summer, bring their mats down to sleep in the refreshing subterranean cool. It's a quirky and uniquely practical solution to the desert climate. Asterisk climbing back into the warm air of the house. You move toward the very back. Past another curtain, you enter the final space, the kitchen. It's little more than a small courtyard, partially open to the sky. A domed clay oven, still radiating a gentle warmth, stands against one wall. Beside it is a saddle quern, a curved grinding stone, with its smaller handstone resting on top, waiting for tomorrow's grain. A collection of reddish-brown clay pots and bowls are stacked neatly on a low shelf. The simplicity is profound. Everything has a purpose. From the pot that holds your beer, to the worn-out broom made of bundled reeds leaning in the corner. Asterisk Mew has, of course, followed you on your entire tour, her silent paws making no sound on the packed earth floor. She now sits near the back door, looking pointedly at a small bowl, her golden eyes blinking slowly. Her message is clear. The inspection of the premises is complete, and it is now time for the evening meal to commence. You look up through the open roof of the kitchen. The sky above has deepened from gold to a soft, dusky violet. The first hesitant star has appeared. The day is done. The night, with its quiet rituals, is about to begin. The first order of business is, as MIU has so elegantly communicated, the evening meal. Your stomach rumbles in agreement. The food won't be elaborate, but it will be filling and familiar, a comforting punctuation mark at the end of a long day. You move around the small kitchen with an economy of motion, born from years of repetition. First, water. You take a small dipper and scoop cool, slightly silty water from a large clay amphora, resting in the corner. You fill your cup and drink deeply, the water tasting of earth and minerals. It's not crisp or pure in the way a mountain stream might be, but it's life. You refill the cup and place it on the small wooden stool that serves as your work surface, then pour a little into Mayu's bowl. She approaches it with regal slowness, laps at it a few times with a tiny pink tongue, and then looks back at you as if to say, an adequate start. Asterisk next, the staple of your existence, bread. From a covered pot, you retrieve a couple of round, flat loaves you baked 2 days ago. They are dense and a little tough, made from Emar wheat. You break a piece off and chew thoughtfully. It has a nutty, wholesome flavor, but there's also the unmistakable, faint grit of sand. It's an unavoidable ingredient in Egyptian bread, a byproduct of grinding grain with stone and baking in sandy pits. Historians examining the mummies of your people often find teeth worn down to stumps, a testament to a lifetime of unintentionally exfoliating their molars. You are used to it. It's just the texture of food. You tear off a small piece, crumble it, and place it in another small bowl for Mew, who nibbles at it delicately. Cats in Egypt weren't just pets. They were deeply respected. seen as protectors against snakes and scorpions, and revered for their connection to the goddess Bast. Killing a cat, even accidentally, was a crime that could carry the gravest of consequences. Your little feline roommate is less a pet and more of a furry, four-legged divine insurance policy who occasionally demands snacks. Asterisk, your main course is simple. You have a small bowl of cooked lentils left over from the previous night. To this, you add a drizzle of fragrant sesame oil from a small clay bottle. The scent fills the small kitchen, nutty and rich. Then, for a touch of sweetness and flavor, you chop a few of the dates you brought home and stir them in, along with a pinch of salt from a rough ceramic dish. Salt was precious, a vital commodity mined from desert oases. You also have a small, pungent onion, which you slice thinly, its sharp aroma making your eyes water just a little. You mix it all together. It's a humble meal, but it's balanced. Protein, carbohydrates, a little fat, a little sugar. The diet of the common Egyptian was largely vegetarian, with meat being a rare luxury reserved for festivals or the wealthy elite. You eat with your fingers, using a piece of the flatbread to scoop up the lentil mixture. It's warm, savory, and satisfying. Asterisk, as you eat. You lean against the kitchen wall, watching the square of sky above darken from violet to a deep, velvety indigo. The sounds of your neighbors are still audible, but they are softer now. The loud conversations have dwindled into murmurs. The clatter of pots has ceased. The village is exhaling. Mew, having finished her breadcrumbs, is now meticulously washing her face. One paw dampened and drawn over her ear with intense concentration. She is a creature of immense and dignified routine, and you find her predictability soothing. Asterisk. Now for the best part of the meal, the beer. You retrieve a small sealed jug from the cool darkness of the cellar. The beer is not the clear, bubbly liquid one might imagine today. It's thick, cloudy, and nutritious, often called liquid bread for good reason. It was a primary source of calories for laborers, like the men who built the Great Pyramids. Yours is a slightly better quality, flavored with dates and a hint of honey. You pour the opaque, soupy liquid into your cup. It's barely alcoholic, more of a nourishing, slightly fermented grain beverage. The taste is sweet and sour, with a yeasty temps. You sip it slowly, letting the cool liquid wash down the dust of the day. Asterisk, you wonder, as you finish your meal, about the grand banquets you sometimes have to document in the tombs. The scenes of pharaohs and nobles feasting on roasted goose, whole carved oxen, mountains of figs, and endless jars of fine wine. Did they truly eat like that every day? Or was it an idealized portrait, a form of wishful thinking for the afterlife? Scholars still debate the gap between the idealized art on tomb walls and the gritty reality of daily life. For you, this simple meal of lentils, sandy bread, and thick beer is the reality, and tonight, it is more than enough. You rinse your bowl and cup with a splash of water, leaving them to dry on the shelf. Mio hops silently onto the kitchen wall, her silhouette a perfect, sharp cutout against the first field of stars. The air is growing cooler, carrying the first real chill of the desert night. It's time to head upwards. With your simple meal finished and the kitchen tidied with a quiet efficiency, your gaze follows Mayu's. She is still perched on the wall, a small, dark sphinx looking out at the vastness. It's an invitation, a set of steep, narrow stairs, little more than plastered brick ledges jutting from the wall. Leads from the kitchen courtyard up to the flat roof of your house. You ascend them carefully, your hands steadying yourself against the rough, whitewashed wall. As you emerge onto the roof, the world expands. Asterisk down in the narrow street, life felt close and contained. Up here, the sky opens up into an infinite, breathtaking dome. The village of Deir el-Medina lies below you, a geometric pattern of darkened rectangles and faint, flickering lights from oil lamps in homes where the occupants are not yet ready for sleep. The soft murmur of the village is still present, but it's more diffuse up here, a gentle, collective hum rather than individual sounds. You can hear the distant, lonely bray of a donkey and the soft, rhythmic sweeping of a neighbor's broom on their own rooftop. Rooftops were essential extensions of the home in ancient Egypt, a vital extra room for work, socializing, and, especially on sweltering summer nights, for sleeping. Asterisk, you walk to the low parapet wall that runs around the edge of the roof. The air is noticeably cooler now, a soft, dry breeze whispering across the desert and carrying with it the scent of distant, dry earth and the faintest hint of unseen night-blooming flowers from a wealthier neighbor's garden. You lean your forearms on the sun-warmed clay of the wall and look out. Beyond the village walls, the desert stretches out, a sea of muted silver and gray under the starlight. The sharp black silhouettes of the Theban hills stand like silent, sleeping giants against the sky. There is no moon tonight, and in its absence, the stars have declared their full and glorious authority. Asterisk, they are overwhelming, not the shy, scattered pinpricks of light you might see from a modern city, but a thick, shimmering blanket of diamonds spilled across black velvet. The Milky Way is a luminous, milky river flowing from one horizon to the other, so bright and dense it feels almost solid. You can see constellations you know by name, shapes, and stories your people have traced for millennia. There is Sa, the great hunter, with his belt of 3 bright stars, and Meskatu, the bull's foreleg that never sets, eternally circling the northern pole. To you, these aren't just balls of gas light years away. They are the decans, the star clocks that mark the passing of the night's hours. They descending from the rooftop, you leave the vast, starry expanse behind and re-enter the intimate, enclosed world of your home. The air inside feels warmer now, a pocket of preserved daylight. Miu immediately hops onto the raised dais, curls into a tight circle on your favorite cushion, and feigns sleep. Her duty as celestial observer apparently complete. You move to the large sycamore chest that holds your linens and most valued possessions. From it, you retrieve not clothes, but a small, beautifully carved alabaster jar. It is cool and smooth to the touch, its milky white stone, veined with faint, ghostly gray stripes. The lid fits perfectly, a testament to the skill of the artisan who made it. Lifting it, a delicate, sweet, and complex fragrance rises to meet you. Asterisk, this is the first step in your nightly ritual, the anointing. This isn't an act of vanity, not really. In the dry, dusty, sun-beaten climate of Egypt, oil and fat were essential skincare. They cleansed the skin, moisturized it, and protected it from the harsh environment. But it was also more than that. Scent was a bridge to the divine, a way to create a pleasant and pure atmosphere for both your body and your spirit. The unguent in your jar is a simple, homemade concoction. The base is moringa oil, light and easily absorbed, which you purchased from a trader at the village market. Into this, you have infused the petals of the blue lotus and a few precious tears of frankincense resin. Asterisk, you dip 2 fingers into the soft, waxy balm and begin. You start with your face, gently rubbing the oil onto your cheeks, your forehead, your nose. The fragrance blooms with the warmth of your skin. The blue lotus has a heady, floral, almost narcotic scent, believed to have calming and even trance-inducing properties. It was the flower of rebirth in altered states, often depicted at parties and religious ceremonies. The frankincense adds a clean, sharp, pine-like note, a scent of purity and temples. As you massage the oil in, you can feel the tension of the day beginning to melt from your jaw, from the tight space between your eyebrows. You work the oil down your neck and onto your shoulders, which still ache from the day's work. The simple act of touch is soothing, a quiet conversation with your own body. Asterisk, you continue, anointing your arms, your hands, your legs, your feet. Your skin, dry and dusty from the walk home, drinks in the moisture, becoming soft and subtly fragrant. The thin layer of oil acts as a protective barrier, a second skin to shield you from the dry night air and any insects that might be buzzing about. You pay special attention to your feet, calloused and tough from your daily walks in simple leather sandals. This small act of care feels like a quiet rebellion against the harshness of the desert. You think about the incredible variety of ointments and perfumes available to the wealthy. They had access to exotic ingredients brought by caravan from distant lands, cinnamon from Asia, myrrh from the land of Punt, cedar oil from Lebanon. Their recipes, sometimes inscribed on temple walls, were complex and jealously guarded secrets. Debates among Egyptologists continue about the exact composition of some of these famous perfumes, like the legendary Kifi and temple incense blend, said to contain over a dozen ingredients, prepared according to secret rituals. Was it just a perfume, or was it a powerful psychoactive substance used to bring priests closer to the gods? Your simple lotus and frankincense balm feels a world away from such complexities, but the principle is the same: to create a state of calm, cleanliness, and spiritual readiness. Mew cracks open one eye, observing your ritual with what appears to be mild, sleepy approval. Cats, of course, are self-anointing creatures, constantly grooming themselves to a state of perfect cleanliness. Perhaps she sees a kindred spirit in your actions. Having covered your body in this soothing, fragrant layer, you feel different. The dust and grime of the tomb and the road have been replaced by a clean, sacred scent. You are no longer a laborer, returning from work. You are a private individual, in your own quiet sanctuary, preparing for the mysterious journey of the night. Finally. You take a tiny dab of the remaining oil on your finger and gently rub it onto the wooden head of the small figure of base in his niche by the door. It's a small offering, a token of respect for the household guardian. His fierce little face now shines in the lamplight, looking slightly less menacing and a little more pampered. The air in the room is now thick with the scent of lotus, a gentle, invisible blanket that signals the transition from the world of doing to the world of being. The first ritual is complete. You close the alabaster jar, its precious contents sealed away for tomorrow night, and place it back in the chest. You feel cleaner, calmer, and more present in your own skin. The outside world has been washed away. Our divine beings, celestial boats carrying the souls of the dead across the sky. Watching them is both a practical and a spiritual act. Mew pads silently over to join you, hopping onto the wall with impossible grace. She sits beside you, her tail wrapped neatly around her paws, and looks up at the same sky. You wonder what she sees. Does she see the forms of gods and goddesses, or just a captivating display of moving lights to be pounced upon if they ever came within reach? It's a question no one can answer. You reach out and stroke her back, her purr, a tiny motor starting up in the vast silence. You think about the work you did today, painting a ceiling in a royal tomb with this very same sky. You spent hours with your brush, meticulously recreating the constellations, the star gods in their celestial barks, ensuring the deceased pharaoh would have a perfect, eternal map of the heavens to guide him. It's a strange duality. You spend your days creating a permanent, unchanging night sky for the dead, and then you come home to watch the real, living, ever-shifting one. Historians often ponder the psychological state of the tomb builders. Did they become desensitized to the sacred imagery they painted day after day, or did it deepen their own personal faith? For you, it's a mixture. Sometimes, painting the Eye of Horus is just a job, a matter of getting the almond shape just right. Other times, like now, looking at the real stars, you feel a profound connection to the cosmic order you so carefully replicate. A cool gust of wind rustles the small, dried palm leaf awning stretched over a corner of the roof, a simple shelter from the sun during the day. It's time. The night is deepening, the air is cooling, and the rituals of winding down must begin. You take one last, long look at the brilliant, silent spectacle above. The universe feels immense, and you feel incredibly small, and yet you are a part of it. A scribe, a homeowner, a cat owner, standing on a mud brick roof, looking up at the same stars that the very first pharaohs looked upon. With a soft sigh, you turn away from the celestial display and head back toward the stairs. Mew, trailing behind like a small, silent shadow. The quiet, personal work of preparing for sleep is about to begin. Asterisk, asterisk. Now that your body is calm and clean, it's time to attend to the unseen residents of your home. You are never truly alone in this house. In the shadows and the quiet corners, the household gods are watching. They are not the grand, imposing deities you paint on tomb walls, the hawk-headed Ra, or the jackal-headed Anubis, who preside over the fate of the cosmos. These are the small, intimate, and often quirky gods of the everyday, the divine handymen and celestial guardians of domestic life. Tending to them is the next crucial step in ensuring a peaceful night. Asterisk, you move to a small, low shelf in the corner of the main room, a designated space that functions as a household altar. It's not ornate. There are no gilded statues or grand offerings here. It's a humble, practical space for quiet communication. Two small, roughly carved wooden figures stand there, worn smooth by years of touch. The first is another depiction of Base, the dwarf god you've already acknowledged by the door. But this one is your primary focus for his protective duties. His grotesque, almost comical appearance, part man, with a feathered headdress and a perpetually stuck-out tongue, was meant to be a pupterpek, a fancy word for something so ugly it scares away evil. He was the bouncer of the spirit world, frightening off snakes, scorpions, and, most importantly, the malicious spirits that brought nightmares and illness in the night. He was the protector of family, of childbirth, and of sleep. A surprisingly big portfolio for such a small, strange-looking fellow. Asterisk, beside him stands a figure of Torit, the hippopotamus goddess. She is a bizarre and wonderful hybrid, the head of a hippo, the limbs of a lion, the back and tail of a crocodile, and the swollen belly of a pregnant woman. Like Base, her fearsome appearance was her greatest asset. Hippos were among the most dangerous animals in Egypt, fiercely protective of their young. Torit embodied that ferocious maternal instinct, making her the ultimate guardian of pregnant women, new mothers, and young children. But her domain also extended to the protection of the sleeping. Sleep, after all, was a vulnerable state, a small death each night, and you needed a formidable protector to watch over your soul while it wandered. Asterisk, your offering tonight is simple. From the pouch you brought home, you take 2 of the finest, softest dates. You place one in front of each figure on a small, clean pottery shard. It's a token, a gesture of respect and remembrance. You then pour a tiny libation, a few drops of the cool water from your cup, onto the shelf before them. The dark liquid soaks quickly into the dried mud plaster. There is no grand prayer, no booming invocation. You simply stand for a moment in silence, your head bowed slightly. It's a quiet, internal conversation. Thank you for your protection. Please keep this house safe tonight. Ward off troubling dreams. Keep the scorpions out. It is a deeply personal and routine act, as normal to you as locking the door at night. Asterisk, you wonder about the beliefs of your neighbors. Does everyone in the village venerate the same domestic gods? Archaeological evidence from Deir el-Medina shows that while Base and Torit were incredibly popular, households also had their own personal favorites. Some might have a shrine to Renenutet, the cobra goddess of the harvest and good fortune, or to the deified pharaoh Amenhotep I, who was the patron saint of your village. Historians debate whether these choices were based on family tradition, personal experience, or simply what was fashionable at the time. Perhaps your neighbor chose a particular god because they felt that God had answered a specific prayer once. It was a deeply customizable faith. Your relationship with Base and Tourette is your own, a silent pact of mutual respect between you and the small wooden figures in the corner. Asterisk, as you stand there, Mew pads over from her cushion. She sniffs at the base of the altar, her whiskers twitching. She gives the figure of Base a curious nudge with her nose before seemingly losing interest and sitting down to groom a paw. Her presence here feels appropriate. Cats, associated with the goddess Bastet, were also seen as powerful protective agents. A purring cat on your lap was not just comforting. It was a living, breathing amulet, its vibrations creating a field of divine safety. Perhaps your offering ritual is redundant. Mew probably has the whole supernatural security detail covered. Asterisk, with the offering complete, a sense of peace settles over you. You have acknowledged the invisible forces that share your space. You've shown them respect and politely requested their continued service. It's like setting a spiritual alarm system for the night. You've done your part. Now it's up to them. You give the head of the Tourette figure one last, gentle touch with your fingertip. Her hippo face seems to smile in the flickering lamplight, a reassuring, grandmotherly presence in all her crocodile-backed, lion-footed glory. The house feels safer now, watched over by this strange and wonderful divine menagerie. The path to sleep is clear of spiritual obstacles. Now, you just have to deal with the clutter inside your own head. Your body is anointed, the gods are placated, but your mind is still gently buzzing with the residue of the day. Stray thoughts flicker like embers, the intricate curve of a vulture's wing you painted. A terse word from the foreman about the pigment supply, a worry about the rising price of sesame oil at the market. These are the small anxieties that can fester in the quiet of the night and blossom into full-blown insomnia. Your next ritual is designed to confront them, to categorize them, and to render them harmless through the strange and wonderful logic of dream interpretation. Asterisk, from a tall, cylindrical clay jar in the corner, you carefully pull out a roll of papyrus. It's not a grand official document, but a well-worn personal scroll. Its edges soft and slightly frayed from frequent handling. This is your dream book. You unroll it carefully on the raised dais, placing a smooth river stone at each end to hold it flat. The papyrus is covered in your neat, flowing hieratic script, a personal compilation of dream symbols and their meanings, copied from older texts and perhaps embellished with a few of your own observations. Asterisk. Dream interpretation was a serious business in ancient Egypt. Dreams were not just random neural firings. They were messages, omens, windows into the future, or visitations from the gods and the dead. A dream could foretell a promotion, warn of an illness, or offer a solution to a vexing problem. The trick was knowing how to read the symbolic language. Some interpretations were based on a principle of opposites. For example, a dream of death was often seen as a good omen, foretelling a long life, but many others were based on a kind of magical punning, where the meaning was derived from the similar sound of two different words. It's a logic that feels alien now, but to you, it is a perfectly coherent system. Asterisk, you settle onto a cushion, bringing the oil lamp closer. The flame casts a warm, dancing light across the pale surface of the scroll. Mew, ever the curious supervisor, hops onto the dais and peers at the strange black squiggles with an air of profound indifference. You scan the columns of text, looking for symbols that might relate to the day's anxieties. Let's start with the foreman. You find the entry for seeing an angry superior. The text reads, "If a man sees his superior angry in a dream, good. It means he will eat the leftovers from his superior's meal." You can't help but smile. It's a wonderfully practical and slightly passive-aggressive prediction. The interpretation defangs the memory. The foreman's scowl is no longer a threat, but a promise of a future snack. It's absurd, and that's why it works. The anxiety is reframed as a ridiculous, non-threatening outcome. Asterisk, next. The worry about the rising cost of oil. You scan for market, oil, and lack. You find an entry. If a man sees himself pouring oil on the ground, bad. It means a sadness is coming for him. Well, you haven't dreamt that yet, so that's a relief. You find another. If a man sees himself lighting a lamp, good. It means his household will be well provisioned. This feels more proactive. The solution isn't to worry, but to focus on the positive action of lighting the lamp, of bringing light and prosperity. It's a form of cognitive behavioral therapy, thousands of years old. You make a mental note to light the lamp with particular intention tomorrow morning. Asterisk, you let your eyes wander over other entries, some of which are truly bizarre. If a man sees himself drinking beer in a dream, good. It means he will have contentment. That one seems fairly straightforward. If a man sees himself with his teeth falling out, bad. It means one of his relatives will die. This is one of the few dream interpretations that has survived, almost unchanged. Into the modern world, a strange thread of ancient anxiety that has never been broken. Then there are the truly odd ones. If a man sees himself turning into a cat, good. It means he will have a large harvest. You glance at Mio, who is now fastidiously grooming her tail. She seems entirely unconcerned with her potential as an agricultural omen. Asterisk. Historians and archaeologists love texts like this one. They offer an unparalleled glimpse into the hopes, fears, and daily preoccupations of ordinary people. What did ancient Egyptians worry about? Running out of food, offending a superior family's sickness, the state of their harvest. The grand theological concerns of the state religion are absent here. This is ground-level spirituality, practical and personal. Scholars still debate, however, how literally these dream books were taken. Were they seen as infallible guides, or were they more like horoscopes? A fun and occasionally insightful way to process one's feelings. Looking at the scroll, you feel it's somewhere in between. It's a tool for thought, a structured way to confront the formless anxieties of the subconscious. Asterisk, you spend a few more minutes just reading the familiar script, a comfort in itself. The act of unrolling the scroll, searching for meaning, and finding these strange, poetic, and often humorous answers has done its job. The day's worries have been addressed, translated from the language of fear into the language of symbols, and then neatly filed away. They no longer have power over the approaching night. With a soft sigh of contentment, you carefully roll the papyrus back into a tight cylinder. Its wisdom safely contained once more. You slide it back into its protective jar. The consultation is over. Your mind feels clearer, lighter, and ready for the next, even stranger, step in your journey toward sleep. With your mind settled, you turn your attention back to your body, specifically to the final preparations for its nightly shutdown. You need a nightcap, a calming beverage, to ease the final transition into slumber. But this is not a world of chamomile tea or warm milk. Your sleepy time drink is something far more unusual. A secret held in the leaves of a common garden weed. You move back to the small kitchen courtyard. Against the far wall, in a patch of sandy soil that gets a little afternoon shade, you cultivate a few hardy plants. There are some onions, a bit of garlic, and a cluster of tall leafy green plants that look remarkably like lettuce. But this isn't the crisp, watery iceberg lettuce of a modern salad bar. This is wild lettuce, Lactuca cereola, a plant with a long and peculiar history in Egypt. You pluck a few of the larger, lower leaves. They are a dusty green, slightly prickly to the touch. When you snap a leaf in half, a thin, milky white sap oozes from the stem. This sap, known as lacticarium, is the key. For thousands of years, your people have known that this plant possesses strange properties. On a grand scale, it was associated with Min, the god of fertility and virility, possibly because of the suggestive shape of the plant and its milky latex. Grand temple reliefs show priests offering towering stalks of lettuce to the god. but on a domestic, practical level, it was known for something else entirely: its ability to induce a state of calm and drowsiness. The sap contains compounds that have a mild sedative, even slightly analgesic effect. It was the quill of the Nile Valley. You bring the leaves back into the main room and place them in a small stone mortar. Using a smooth, heavy pestle, you begin to crush them. The rhythmic, percussive sound is meditative, a soft thump-thump-thump in the quiet house. A pungent, slightly bitter, green smell fills the air. You add a splash of hot water from a clay pot that has been sitting by the embers of the oven, warming it just enough. You continue to grind, turning the leaves into a dark green, watery pulp. The process is slow and deliberate, a final, mindful task before rest. As you work, you think about the other remedies people in your village use for sleeplessness. Some swear by a poultice of crushed poppy petals, applied to the temples, though that seems a bit extravagant. Others recite specific magical incantations, spells designed to banish the spirits of the night that steals sleep. One of your neighbors, an old carpenter, chews on a piece of juniper root, claiming it brings peaceful dreams. It's a world of trial and error, a folk wisdom passed down through generations. Modern science would eventually isolate the active compounds in wild lettuce, confirming its mild psychoactive properties. But for you, the knowledge is simply inherited. It works because it has always worked. There is, of course, a debate among historians about the exact role of substances like this. Were they purely medicinal, or were they also used for recreational or spiritual purposes? The blue lotus, with its soporific scent, is often shown at lively banquets. Was it just a pretty flower? Or was it the ancient equivalent of a party drug, meant to induce a state of relaxed euphoria? The line between medicine, magic, and recreation was blurry, perhaps even non-existent. Your lettuce tea is medicine for a restless mind, but the gentle, floaty feeling it produces is also undeniably pleasant. Once the leaves are thoroughly mashed, you strain the resulting liquid through a small piece of clean linen into your drinking cup. The tea is a murky, greenish-brown color. It does not look appetizing. To make it more palatable, you stir in a spoonful of honey from a small, sealed pot. Honey was a precious luxury, a gift from the bees that was both a sweetener and a powerful antiseptic. The golden thread dissolves into the green liquid, adding a welcome sweetness to counteract the bitterness of the lettuce. You sit on the edge of the dais, holding the warm cup in both hands. Mio, awakened by the grinding sounds, has relocated to your lap, her weight a comforting pressure. You take a slow sip of the concoction. The taste is earthy. The bitterness is still there, lurking beneath the honey, but it's not unpleasant. It tastes of the garden, of the soil, of the night. You drink it slowly, not gulping it down, but savoring the ritual. You can feel the warmth spreading from your stomach, a gentle, loosening sensation. It's not a powerful, immediate effect, but a gradual, creeping sense of calm. The remaining sharp edges of the day begin to soften and dissolve. Your thoughts, which were previously buzzing, now seem to be drifting further away, becoming less urgent, less defined. You finish the last of the tea, the final dregs thick with green sediment. You've taken your strange, ancient medicine. The scent of the crushed leaves still hangs in the air, a green, sleepy aroma that mixes with the floral notes of the lotus oil on your skin. You are now prepared, inside and out. The final physical preparations for bed can now begin. The lettuce tea is doing its quiet work, sending soft, blurry waves through your limbs. Your thoughts are slower now, like fish swimming in honey. You are on the threshold of sleep, but there is one final layer of defense to be put in place. Not a physical lock, but a metaphysical one. It is time to set the nightly guard, asterisk from the sycamore chest. You take out a small, soft leather pouch tied with a linen string. It's limp and worn, and as you handle it, it makes a soft, stony clink. This is your personal protection detail, a small collection of amulets you've gathered over the years. They are your spiritual armor for the vulnerable hours of the night, when the barrier between worlds grows thin. You loosen the string and gently pour the contents into your open palm. For small, cool shapes rest in your hand, glowing softly in the lamplight. You sit on the edge of the dais where you will sleep and place them one by one on the low wooden stool that serves as your bedside table. You don't just toss them in a pile. You arrange them. Each has its place, its purpose. The first is a jed pillar, about the length of your thumb, made of smooth, green-blue faience. Its grooved, tiered shape is meant to represent the backbone of the god Osiris, the lord of the underworld. It is the ultimate symbol of stability and endurance. Placing it on the stool feels like setting the foundation for the night, ensuring that your sleep will be deep and unshakable. It's an odd concept if you think about it, too hard keeping. A model of a god's spine by your bed, but the comfort it brings is real and immediate. Asterisk next to it. You place the undisputed champion of personal protection, a Wadjet eye, the Eye of Horus. It's carved from a beautiful piece of reddish-orange carnelian, warm to the touch. The iconic, stylized eye, complete with the falcon-like markings of the god Horus, stares up at the ceiling. This amulet is a powerhouse. It protects from the evil eye, wards off malevolent spirits, prevents illness, and promotes healing. It is a divine security camera and a celestial first aid kit rolled into one potent symbol. You position it so it's looking out into the room, a silent, all-seeing sentinel. The third is an Ankh asterisk, the hieroglyph for life, its looped cross shape recognized throughout the land. Yours is simple, carved from dark wood, polished smooth by countless touches. It is not just a symbol of life, but of life's continuation, of the eternal cycle. Placing it near your sleeping space is a quiet prayer for waking up in the morning, a fundamental and universal hope. Asterisk finally, you set down your personal favorite, the Knot of Isis. It's another faience piece, similar in color to the jed pillar. Its shape is reminiscent of the Ankh, but it represents the sash of the goddess Isis's robe. It is an amulet of pure protection, particularly associated with the protective magic of the great mother goddess herself. It feels softer, somehow, more nurturing than the fierce watchfulness of the Wadjet eye. Asterisk, as you look at your small, carefully arranged collection, you wonder, did you, the average scribe, truly contemplate the complex mythology behind each of these objects every night? Or was it more of a deeply ingrained habit, a spiritual checklist to be completed before sleep? Historians still debate the depth of popular theological understanding versus simple, inherited superstition. Was it like a modern person carrying a lucky coin, its original meaning lost to time? Or was every placement a conscious, theological act? For you, the truth is likely somewhere in the middle. The act is comforting, the symbols are powerful, and in the deep quiet of the night, you see no reason to take any chances. Asterisk Mew, ever attentive to small, movable objects, hops onto the dais and sniffs at your arrangement. She extends a tentative paw and gently taps the wooden Ankh. It slides a little on the stool's surface. She seems to understand its significance as a toy that is delightfully easy to push around. You gently shoo her away before she reorganizes your entire spiritual defense grid. Asterisk this small, personal collection is nothing compared to what you see prepared for the dead. You've seen the funerary priests at work, tucking hundreds of amulets into the linen wrappings of a mummy, a full suit of spiritual armor for the journey to the afterlife. Your 4 little charms seem rather modest in comparison, but they are not for eternity. They are just for tonight. They are a sign that your preparations are complete. The house is secure. The gods are acknowledged. Your body is calm. Your mind is quiet. And now, a protective perimeter has been established around your sleeping self. The room is a fortress, not of brick and mortar, but of ritual and belief. All that is left is the final, physical act of surrender to the night. ***, your pre-sleep rituals are almost complete. The amulets are set, the tea is warming your belly, and the soft scent of lotus oil hangs in the air like a promise. Now, for the final, living component of your nightly security system. You settle back onto the raised dais, your sleeping area, and pat the woven wool blanket beside you. Mio, who was pretending to be interested in a loose thread on a cushion, needs no further encouragement. With a soft, athletic leap, she lands beside you, circles 3 times as if performing a sacred feline rite, and collapses into a furry, purring heap. She tucks herself against your side, a warm, vibrating weight. Her purr is not just a sound, it's a physical sensation. You can feel the low, rhythmic rumble resonate through the blanket and into your own body. It's a steady, hypnotic drone, the sound of pure, unadulterated contentment. In the profound quiet of your house, it's the only sound, a tiny organic engine humming in the darkness. To you, this is more than just a comforting noise. The purr of a cat is a potent form of protective magic. Your people have a deep and complex relationship with cats. You've seen them depicted everywhere, in tomb paintings as beloved household companions, as graceful hunters stalking birds in the papyrus marshes, and as the sacred embodiment of the goddess Bast, the fierce protector of Lower Egypt, childbirth, and the home. They were, in a way, living, breathing extensions of the divine, walking, purring amulets that you just happened to have to feed. While dogs were valued for hunting and guarding, cats occupied a more mystical space. They were seen as liminal creatures, comfortable in the worlds of both day and night, home and wilderness. The seen and the unseen. You run your hand down Mayu's back, her sleek, sandy fur incredibly soft. Her purr intensifies, and she kneads her paws rhythmically against the blanket, a distant memory of nursing. Historians have found countless cat mummies, prepared with the same care and reverence as human remains, a testament to their elevated status. Some were beloved pets buried with their owners, while others were votive offerings at the temples of Bast. It raises a curious question. Did the average Egyptian truly worship their cat? Or was it more a relationship of deep respect and affection, colored by a healthy dose of superstition? Looking down at Miyu, who has just emitted a tiny, sleepy sigh, you suspect it's the latter. You don't worship her, but you absolutely believe she's keeping the bad vibes at bay. Her presence is a multi-layered comfort. On a practical level, she is a peerless hunter. Her silent patrols ensure your home is free from mice, rats, and, most importantly, scorpions and snakes that might seek shelter from the cooling desert. You sleep better knowing her sharp ears and keen eyes are on duty, but the belief in her power goes deeper. It was thought that the glowing, reflective nature of a cat's eyes could trap and ward off evil spirits. The demons of the night, the terrors that brought nightmares and sickness, would see their own malevolence reflected in her gaze and flee. Mayu's half-lidded, sleepy stare is, in effect, a pair of supernatural bug zappers. Her purr, too, was thought to have healing and protective properties. That gentle, constant vibration was a force field of positive energy, a sonic wall that evil could not penetrate. As you lie there, feeling the steady thrum against your ribs, it's easy to believe. The sound smooths out the edges of your thoughts, a natural, calming mantra. It anchors you to the present moment, to the simple physical reality of your warm, safe home. Miu shifts slightly, tucking her head under your arm. She is completely relaxed, a puddle of warm fur and trust. Her presence is a final, profound reassurance. The house is protected by base and turret, your bed is protected by the amulets, and your personal space is guarded by this small, purring divinity. You have built layers upon layers of security, a concentric circle of belief and ritual with you at the peaceful center. The world outside, with its foremen, and its market prices, and its vast, indifferent desert can't touch you here. You are safe, you are calm, and you are finally, truly ready for sleep. The soft, rumbling engine of your feline guardian is the last sound you focus on as your consciousness begins to fray at the edges, preparing to drift away. The purring of the cat has become a part of the room's deep silence, a soft, steady vibration that you feel more than hear. Your own breathing has slowed to match its rhythm, a slow, gentle rise and fall. You are suspended in that lovely liminal state just before sleep, no longer fully awake, but not yet dreaming. It's in this quiet space that your hearing seems to expand, reaching out beyond the mud brick walls of your home and into the sleeping village. The individual. Distinct sounds of the evening have now merged into a collective, ambient hum. Deir el-Medina is breathing. You can hear the soft, low whisper of the desert wind as it curls over the village wall and sighs down the narrow main street. It's a sound you've known your whole life, the voice of the desert itself, a constant, gentle shushing that feels less like a noise and more like the sound of stillness. It carries no scent of rain, only the clean, dry aroma of sand and stone. From a few houses down, you hear the muffled, irritable bleat of a goat. It's a short, grumpy sound, as if the animal has been woken from a particularly pleasant dream, and it's followed by the low, soothing murmur of its owner, a wordless sound of reassurance. You smile in the darkness. Even the animals are settling down. The rhythms of the village are not just human. They are a shared experience across species, a communal winding down. Faintly. From the other side of your wall, you can hear the soft, rhythmic creak of a neighbor's wooden bed frame as they shift in their sleep. It's an intimate sound, a reminder that you are not alone in this nightly journey. You are one small part of a larger, sleeping organism. Everyone in this village, the stonemasons, the painters, the carpenters, the guards at the gate is now lying in the darkness of their own homes, their tools laid aside, their bodies at rest. You are all bound by the shared work of the day and the shared vulnerability of the night. A dog barks somewhere on the far side of the village. It's a sharp, lonely sound that is quickly answered by another, more distant bark, a brief, back-and-forth conversation across the rooftops before silence reclaims its territory. Dogs here are not the pampered pets that cats can be. They are working animals, guards and helpers, their senses perpetually alert. That brief exchange was likely a report. All is well over here. All is well over here too. You think about the sounds, you don't hear. There is no rumble of traffic, no electronic hum, no distant siren. The soundscape is entirely organic, composed of wind, animal, and human. It's a quiet so profound it would be unsettling to a modern ear, but to you, it is the sound of peace. It is the sound of a world powered by muscle, sun, and the slow turning of the seasons. Historians can reconstruct what a village like this looked like, but the soundscape is harder to capture. Was it truly this quiet, or is this a romanticized notion? While religious festivals could be loud, boisterous affairs, the evidence from texts and the village's layout suggests that the nights were likely characterized by a deep, communal stillness, broken only by the small, incidental sounds of life. A baby cries, a thin, wailing sound that carries easily through the night air. It lasts for only a moment before being muffled, presumably as its mother offers comfort and a breast. The cry isn't an annoyance. It's a sign of life, of continuity. A new generation is here, sleeping and waking and crying in the same small houses, under the same eternal stars. You wonder if the household gods, base and Toret, protectors of children, are paying extra attention to that house tonight. Your focus draws back into your own room. Mew has stopped purring and is now breathing in a deep, slow rhythm against your side. You can hear the almost imperceptible tick-tick of the oil lamp's wick as it consumes its fuel. the flame casting long, slow dancing shadows on the wall. The house itself makes its own subtle noises, a faint creak from the palm log beams that support the roof as they contract in the cooling air, a soft, sandy whisper as a tiny trickle of dust, dislodged by the wind, slides down the outside of the wall. These are the sounds of your home settling, just as you are. Asterisk. Listening to this gentle, layered symphony of the night is the final meditative act. You are not trying to fall asleep. You are simply bearing witness to the quiet. You are a single, conscious point in a sea of slumbering life. The sounds are a lullaby, a confirmation that the world is proceeding as it should. The goat is in its pen. The dogs are on watch. The mothers are comforting their children, and the desert wind is keeping its ancient vigil. Everything is in its proper place. There is nothing for you to worry about, nothing for you to do but let go. And as you dissolve into that quiet, the boundary between listener and sleep finally begins to disappear. Asterisk, asterisk, you are drifting, floating on the soft currents of the village's quiet, but one final, conscious act remains. It is the physical posture of sleep itself. You shift slightly on the woven mat that serves as your mattress. It's firm, stuffed with reeds, and while it's not luxurious, it's familiar and supportive. Your blanket is a simple sheet of heavy linen, enough to ward off the desert's night chill, which can be surprisingly sharp even after a scorching day. Now, for your head. Asterisk, you reach out beside you, and your fingers find a smooth, cool, curved object. You lift it. It's heavier than it looks. This is your pillow, though it bears no resemblance to the soft, fluffy rectangles of the future. It is a headrest, a wurz, carved from a single, solid piece of sycamore wood. It consists of 3 parts: a sturdy, flat base to keep it from tipping over, a short, thick column for support, and a crescent-shaped cup on top, perfectly curved to cradle the nape of your neck and the base of your skull. Asterisk. You carefully lie on your side and position the headrest beneath you. The cool, polished wood is a shock of sensation against your warm skin. The curve of the crescent fits you perfectly, lifting your head several inches off the mat. Your ear is left completely uncovered, open to the air. It looks and feels incredibly uncomfortable. A modern person, accustomed to sinking into a cloud of down or memory foam, would likely declare it an instrument of torture. But you, a person of this time and place, find it a source of practical comfort. Asterisk. The first and most obvious benefit is airflow. On hot, stifling nights, having your head elevated allows air to circulate freely all around your neck and scalp. A simple but brilliant form of personal air conditioning. It keeps you cool and prevents you from waking up in a pool of sweat. It also helps protect your hairstyle. You don't have an elaborate coiffure, but many Egyptians, both men and women, wore complex wigs or had carefully styled hair, especially among the elite. Sleeping on a headrest prevented all that hard work from being crushed and flattened overnight. It was a matter of both comfort and presentation. Asterisk. But there are other, more subtle benefits. It keeps your head away from the floor, and by extension, away from any creepy, crawly things that might be scuttling about in the night. Scorpions, spiders, and centipedes were a real and present danger, and a few inches of elevation could make all the difference. You once heard a story about a man who woke up with a scorpion in his ear. You're not sure if it's true, but it's motivation enough to use your headrest faithfully. Asterisk. As you settle into the position, your body adjusts. Your spine is aligned, your head supported. It's a very different kind of comfort from a soft pillow. It's not about sinking in, it's about being held. The hardness of the wood is a point of stability in the softness of the coming sleep. Miyu, apparently deciding your arrangement, is now optimal. Repositions herself, curling into the warm space behind your bent knees. Asterisk. You wonder about the different styles of headrests. Yours is plain, undecorated, sycamore wood, but you've seen and even painted depictions of incredibly ornate ones in the tombs of the wealthy. They were made from ivory, alabaster, or rare woods, inlaid with gold and precious stones. Some were carved with figures of the god base, turning the headrest itself into a powerful protective amulet, a guardian literally supporting your head. Historians debate whether these elaborate artistic headrests were actually used in daily life, or if they were purely funerary items, meant to magically protect and elevate the head of the deceased in the afterlife. Perhaps the wealthy used them, their necks accustomed to a certain level of divine luxury, or perhaps they, too, slept on simple wooden ones, saving the fancy models for their eternal rest. It's a small, unanswered question of domestic history. Asterisk for you. This simple piece of carved wood is one of the most essential items you own. It is your nightly anchor. It is a tool designed for this specific climate, for these specific needs. It feels solid, real, and permanent. You close your eyes. The world is now reduced to sensation. The firm support of the wood under your neck, the rough texture of the linen sheet against your cheek, the warm weight of the cat at your back, and the cool night air on your open ear, bringing you the last, fading whispers of the sleeping village. The discomfort has vanished, replaced by a deep sense of rightness. This is the correct way to sleep. This is the posture of rest your people have assumed for 1,000 years. Supported and elevated, you are ready to let your consciousness float free. Your body is still, your head securely cradled by the cool wood of the wurs. You are balanced on the very edge of sleep's cliff. But a final, gentle push is needed. It's not a thought or a ritual, but a simple, repetitive action. A last little piece of work to occupy your hands and quiet the final whispers of your mind. It's a task so familiar and automatic that it requires almost no conscious thought at all, making it the perfect bridge to the unconscious world. Asterisk slowly. You sit up one last time. Miu stirs, giving a soft, questioning murraw at the disturbance. You give her a reassuring pat. You don't relight the lamp, which has now dwindled to a tiny, sputtering flame. Your eyes have long since adjusted to the deep darkness of the room, now silvered by the faint starlight filtering in through the high window. By the faint light, you reach for your scribe's palette, the essential tool of your trade. You don't need the whole kit, just the palette itself and a small, smooth stone you use for grinding. Asterisk, your palette is a long, rectangular piece of wood with two shallow, circular indentations at one end, one for black ink, one for red, and a slot in the middle for holding your reed brushes. You run your finger over the black cake of ink. It's a solid block made from fine carbon soot, likely scraped from cooking pots, mixed with a binder of natural gum from an acacia tree. It's dry and hard. To turn it into usable ink, you need to grind it with a little water. Asterisk, you pour a few drops of water from your drinking cup onto the palette's surface, next to the black ink cake. Then you take the small grinding stone, the pestle, and begin to work. You add a little bit of the dry soot from the cake to the water and start grinding in a slow, circular motion. The sound is soft and hypnotic, a gentle, rhythmic shush-shush of stone against wood, grit against liquid. It is one of the most familiar sounds in your life, the sound of preparation, of potential, of stories yet to be written. Asterisk, you are not preparing a large amount of ink, not enough for a day's work in the tomb. This is just a small, meditative task. It's the scribe's equivalent of counting sheep. As your hand moves in its steady, repetitive circle, your mind is freed from the obligation of thought. The motion is in your muscles, in your bones. You don't need to focus on it. The gentle, abrasive sound fills your head, scrubbing away the last remnants of complex thought. Shush, shush, shush. Asterisk, you think of the sheer amount of ink you've ground in your lifetime. Ponds of it. Enough to write miles of hieroglyphs, to document inventories of grain, to compose letters. to copy out passages from the Book of the Dead that will guide a pharaoh's soul. This simple, mundane task is the foundation of your entire identity. It's the first step in creating something that could, potentially, last for thousands of years. It's a strange and humbling thought. The words you will write with this very ink tomorrow might be read by people in a distant, unimaginable future. Asterisk. Or, more likely, you'll just be making a list of jars of wine. Not everything a scribe wrote was sacred. In fact, most of it was profoundly mundane. Archaeologists in the future will find mountains of astracos, broken pottery shards. You saw the neighbor's boy drawing uncovered in the ancient equivalent of shopping lists, personal letters, work attendance records, and even school exercises with corrections from a teacher. These waste paper scraps provide one of the most intimate looks into your world. It makes you wonder what future scribes will think of your own laundry list. Will they debate the spiritual significance of 3 linen kilts? One needs mending? Asterisk. The ink is slowly reaching the right consistency. You test it with your fingertip. It's no longer watery, but a smooth, velvety, opaque black. It's perfect. You have created a small pool of potential, ready for the morning. The task has served its purpose. Your hands have been given a final, simple job, and their restlessness is gone. Your mind, lulled by the rhythmic sound and motion, has finally let go of its last attachments to the waking world. You have, without realizing it, performed a kind of magic, transforming the scattered energy of wakefulness into the focused potential of ink. And in doing so, you've prepared your mind for the blank slate of sleep. Asterisk. You rinse your finger in the cup and dry it on your linen sheet. You place the palette and the grinding stone back in their proper place. Their work for the day and for the night now done. You have done everything you can do. You have prepared your body, your spirit, your home, and even your tools. There is nothing left. You lie back down, fitting your neck once more into the cool, familiar curve of the headrest. The gentle shushing sound of the grinding seems to echo in the quiet of your mind, a final, calming lullaby. You are back in the posture of rest, the wooden headrest a cool anchor in the warm, blurry sea of impending sleep. The physical world has faded, its sounds and sensations dissolving into a gentle hum. Now, in this final, quiet moment, your mind turns inward, not with worry, but with story. As a scribe, your mind is a library, filled with tales of gods and goddesses, kings and heroes, magic and creation. To ease the final step into the dream world, you reach for one of the gentlest of these tales. Asterisk. You don't speak the words aloud. This is a silent recitation, a story you tell only to yourself. You choose a simple one, not a grand, epic battle or a complex creation myth, but a small, quiet story about Thoth, your patron god. Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, writing, magic, and the moon. He is the divine scribe, the keeper of records, the one who gave the gift of hieroglyphs to humanity. It is his ink you are just grinding. It feels right to end the day in his company. Asterisk. Your thoughts begin to form the narrative. In the beginning, when the sky was still dark, the great sun god Ra ruled over everything, but his light could be fierce and unforgiving. He saw that the people and the creatures of the earth needed a gentler, quieter light for the hours of darkness, a soft lamp for the night. So Ra summoned Thoth, the cleverest and most thoughtful of all the gods. "O Thoth," Ra said, his voice like the sun's warmth, "I will be busy carrying my solar bark through the underworld each night to battle the serpent of chaos, Apep. While I am gone, the world will be in darkness. I need someone to stand in for me, to hold a lesser light, a silver light, so that my children are not lost in the blackness." Asterisk. Thoth, ever humble, bowed his ibis head. "It would be my greatest honor, divine Ra. But I am a god of knowledge and words, not of light. What power do I have to illuminate the sky?" Asterisk. Ra smiled. Your power is your wisdom, Thoth. You will not shine with my fire. You will shine with a cool, silver reflection of knowledge. And with that, Ra placed in the sky the moon, a perfect, pale disk. This will be your vessel, Ra declared. You will be its keeper. And so, Thoth became the guardian of the moon. Each night, as Ra's bark descended into the underworld, Thoth would take his place in the sky. But the moon was not always full and bright. You picture the story unfolding. Thoth, being a god of accounting and measure, decided to use the moon to track time. He divided the month into 30 days, and each night, he would chip away a tiny piece of the moon's light, a sliver of silver, to mark the passing of a day. This is why the moon wanes, growing thinner and thinner, until it is just a ghost of itself in the sky. But then, being a god of balance, he would spend the next part of the month carefully restoring the light, adding back the silver slivers one by one, until the moon was whole and brilliant once more. This gentle, cyclical waxing and waning became the rhythm of the world, the quiet pulse of the night. It was Thoth, the scribe, keeping a celestial tally in the sky. There's a lesser known, almost comical part of the myth that you particularly enjoy. It is said that other gods, particularly those who enjoyed a bit of chaos, would sometimes try to steal pieces of the moon's light. On these nights, Thoth would have to play a divine game of Sanat, a popular board game, against them. If he won, he would reclaim the stolen light. If he lost, the moon would remain darkened for a little longer. It's a wonderfully humanizing image. The great god of wisdom, sitting on a cloud, intensely focused on a board game to determine the fate of the moonlight. Historians debate whether these playful myths were seen as literal truth or as allegorical tales. You don't care about the academic distinctions. The image of Thoth as a cosmic gamer, fighting for every sliver of light, is a comforting and amusing one. You recall another small detail. Thoth was often accompanied by a baboon, another of his sacred animals. You imagine this wise, thoughtful baboon sitting beside him, carefully watching the game, offering sage grunts of advice on the next move. The ibis and the baboon, caretakers of the moon, ensuring the world has its soft, silvery nightlight. The story is not dramatic. There are no great battles or passionate betrayals. It is a story of quiet responsibility, of gentle rhythms, of celestial bookkeeping. It is a story about your God, the one who understands the power of a single, well-placed word, a perfectly ground pool of ink, a carefully measured portion of light. The narrative has soothed your mind, replacing the last of your own thoughts with the gentle, archetypal images of the myth. The waxing and waning of the moon is no longer just an astronomical event. It is the work of a diligent, wise, and occasionally competitive god you feel a personal connection to. The story spools out to its end, and your mind is left with the final, peaceful image. The full moon, a perfect, silver circle, held aloft in the dark sky by the gentle, steady hand of Thoth. It is a light of peace, a light of knowledge, a light to guide dreamers, and under that gentle, mythical light, you finally let go of the shore of wakefulness. The story of Thoth and his lunar bookkeeping has dissolved. The images no longer hold their shape. The ibis head, the silver disc, the game board, they are all melting into indistinct, gentle patterns behind your closed eyelids. You are no longer consciously thinking, no longer directing your own mind. You have slipped your moorings and are now adrift on the deep, quiet river that flows into the land of dreams. The physical sensations of your body have faded into a single, unified feeling of warmth and weight. You can no longer distinguish the coolness of the headrest from the warmth of your skin, or the rough texture of the linen from the soft fur of the cat beside you. It is all just a gentle, neutral presence. Your body is a boat, and you are no longer the captain. The rhythmic rise and fall of your own breathing is the current, pulling you further and further away from the shore of the waking world. Your awareness, What little is left of it shrinks from the edges of the village, from the walls of your house, from the confines of the room, until it is just a tiny, flickering point of light inside your own head. And even that is beginning to dim. The last vestiges of the day's memories surface, not as coherent thoughts, but as faded, silent images. The curve of a painted hieroglyph, the face of the stonemason on his stoop, the deep indigo of the sky from the rooftop. They flash for a moment, stripped of all meaning and emotion, like old, forgotten papyri, and then they crumble into dust and blow away. Asterisk, you are entering the Egyptian dream world, the duat of sleep. It is a place your people believe to be full of meaning, of messages from the gods, of visitations from ancestors. It is a landscape that can be both beautiful and perilous. But you have prepared for this journey. Your amulets are standing guard. Your household gods are vigilant. Your feline protector is at your side. You are not entering this world unprotected. You have built a safe harbor for your soul to rest in. Asterisk, the quiet of the house deepens, becoming absolute. You are no longer listening. You are simply part of the silence. The line between you and the world blurs. Is the gentle breeze you feel the desert wind outside, or is it the passage of your own breath? Is the warmth at your back the sleeping cat, or is it the last embers of the day's sun, stored deep within your own bones? The distinctions no longer matter. Everything is connected in this soft, dark, sleepy state. Asterisk, you might wonder, from a place far away, if you will dream of the things your dream book foretold. Will you dream of turning into a cat and thus be assured of a good harvest? Or will you dream of your teeth falling out, a harbinger of familial sorrow? Egyptologists have long been fascinated by the profound importance your culture placed on dreams, seeing them as a vital bridge between the human and divine realms. They were not escapist fantasies, but a crucial source of information and guidance. But as you drift now, you have no expectations. You are not seeking answers or omens. You are simply seeking rest. The dream book was a tool for the waking mind to quiet itself. The dreaming mind has its own language, its own logic, and you must surrender to it completely. Asterisk, a final, coherent thought flickers. It is a simple feeling of gratitude for the coolness of the water, for the sweetness of the date, for the sturdiness of the mud brick walls, for the silent companionship of a cat, for the profound, simple peace of being safe in your own home at the end of a long day. It is the most basic and most powerful of human feelings, a quiet, internal thank you to the universe for the gift of this rest. Asterisk, and then, that too, is gone. You have fallen past the edge. The tiny point of light that was your consciousness winks out. Not into blackness, but into a different kind of reality altogether. You are asleep. Your body lies still in the soft, starlit darkness of a small house in Deir el-Medina, while your soul, your Ba, is free to wander the strange and wondrous landscapes of the Egyptian night, until the first, gentle light of the morning sun calls it home. Asterisk, the journey is complete now. The scribe is asleep, and you, the listener, have followed him all the way to the edge of that ancient slumber. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to think about. All the preparations have been made. Your own body feels heavy and relaxed, your own mind quieted by the gentle rhythm of the story. Asterisk, allow your breathing to remain slow and deep, a soft, silent tide pulling you further out into your own peaceful darkness. Feel the weight of your own blanket, the support of your own bed. You are safe. You are comfortable. You are in your own protected space, just like the scribe in his mud brick home. Let the last echoes of the story fade away, leaving only a feeling of profound, quiet, calm. Your only task now is to let go, to allow the gentle current to carry you into your own restful dreams. The night is here, and it is a friend. Surrender to its soft, quiet embrace.